Let's get a shot. I'm gonna get some selfies or something. Is that all right?
Thank you. Okay, we're at the Circle in Easton, a Resist March rally.
Now, we all know that Easton is no stranger to revolution. On July 8th, 1776, right here in Center Square, the Declaration of Independence was read to the citizens of this town. One of only 3 public readings across the 13 colonies. And that moment was a spark. It was a rallying cry for liberty, for representation, and for government that serves its people, not rules over them. The late, great Congressman John Lewis said that we are here for good trouble, necessary trouble, trouble that shakes the ground beneath injustice and plants the seeds of progress. Amazing speakers here today lined up for you. And raise your voices so they cannot be ignored. Let them hear us throughout history. We are Easton and we are not backing down. Woo! Remind us all why this fight matters, not just politically, but to the core of who we are as a nation. It is my honor to introduce someone who I feel embodies the spirit of our history and the power of our words. Mr. Christopher Black is here to take us back to that founding promise of our nation, a promise that we are still working to fulfill. Christopher Black.
The Declaration of Independence here in Easton's Great Square, as it was read on this very spot by Robert Beavers on July 8, 1776 at 12 noon. This announcement began the United States of America. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure democracy, tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Wild is the first woman to represent the Lehigh Valley in Congress. A big warm welcome to our wonderful Susan Wild.
I love me some Easton. You people know how to do this. Now, let me just start by saying there's some folks walking around the perimeter here. We got one right over here holding a Ryan McKenzie sign. And let me just say, if they decide to interrupt again, I want you all to say, "Where's Ryan?" He could be here talking to you. He could be here basically doing a town hall. Hasn't done one yet. It's a telephone town hall. So anyway, you know what to say if they start harassing everybody. And by the way, there's a whole lot more of you than there are. Press forward. Come on, folks. Okay. First of all, thank you for what you do. A lot of what we are all here about is about making sure that we protect our freedom of the press, right? Without them, democracy goes dark. The most important thing you could be doing right now, and I know that maybe people think, I don't know, it's pretty damn cold out here and I could be home getting ready for next week or whatever. I'll tell you why I'm saying that. There's going to be a lot of protests. There have been a lot of protests. People are protesting Mackenzie's office. People are writing lots of emails to their legislators. But we've got a democracy to save. We literally have a democracy to save, and I think I don't have to go through the laundry list of all the ways in which our democracy is currently threatened. But the reason I say that what you're doing right now is the most important thing you can do is because we don't need to change the minds of all of the people who are here in the square because you're all pretty like-minded folks, I guess. We need to change the minds of people who don't think it's that important, people who don't care enough, people who don't pay attention to politics, people who say, oh, I hate politics. And we need to change the minds of our GOP elected officials.
So good luck with that.
And the only way you are ever going to see them move away from the Trump train is when they start to realize that they're going to lose elections.
Yay!
So we picked up a Democratic senator from a district outside of Lancaster that's never elected a Democrat.
Wow.
That's what happened as a result of that. And by the way, do you know why we won that seat? We won that seat because the people had been showing up. The people had been protesting. It was impossible not to be aware of that election, even though nobody ever turns out for special elections. They're very under-attended. And yet people knew and they turned out. We have super important elections this year. We've got elections for county executive here in Northampton County. We've got elections for judges in both Lehigh and Northampton County, super important. And at the statewide level, we've got, I think 2 or 3. 2 Supreme Court judges who are justices who are seeking retention. Talk about races that nobody ever shows up for because everybody just assumes a retention race, which is a yes or no. It's just a easy one. This year, the GOP is making a concerted effort to get people to vote no on those 2 Supreme Court justices who, and it's a nonpartisan seat, and when they run for judge, you run on a nonpartisan platform. But they are good justices, they are Democrats, and we've got to make sure that we keep them. And there's 2 open seats on the other appellate courts. Make sure you find out who they are, make sure you vote in those races. And by the way, if our federal government is dismantled the way Trump and Musk want it to be, we're going to need our state government, our state courts, more than we ever have. So please, don't skip this year's elections. Please make sure that you are taking people to get registered to vote. By the way, the Republicans did a damn good job of it last year. We did not. In Pennsylvania, we saw sliding numbers for Democrats and increasing numbers of Republicans being registered. We've got to turn that around. We cannot win if we don't have the population. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
Welcome, Baron Vanderburg.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, morning, whatever it is. It's a good time to celebrate democracy, so why don't we do that? Let's put our hands together for the right to assemble, and the right to speak our minds, and the right to use our voices, and the right to do what we must to protect and preserve this nation that is now in the hands of a fascist and a dictator. We are going to take this back. We are going to take this back. Let me tell you all a little story. On August 23rd, I believe it was, I felt hope. I was an attendee of the Democratic National Convention. I was right in the room when Vice President Kamala Harris accepted the nomination for President of the United States. Now let me explain to you why this is personal to me. If you've ever been to a DNC convention, the seating in the convention center is based on the states that are likely to decide the election. Pennsylvania was in the front row.
Oh.
The most watched county in the entire country to determine presidential elections is right here in Northampton County. Did everybody know that?
Yep. Yes.
The most important county in the entire country. There's one in Ohio, and the most important one is right here. On that day, I felt hope. The room was electric. The media was great. The stories that were being told was great. And I felt like a revolution was coming.
Yeah.
And on Monday, November 3rd, I also felt hope. I felt hope that the nation was going to do what was right. I thought that the nation would put all things aside and put in office the person who would protect and preserve our democracy. And on Tuesday, November 5th, I realized I was mistaken, but not wrong. On Wednesday, November 6th, I felt all of the 5 stages of grief. I felt denial. I felt grief. I felt mourning. I felt all of the stages. But on Thursday, November 7th, I was ready to work. Is anybody else ready to work in this crowd today? Regardless of our sides of the aisle, regardless of our polls, regardless of our Democrat or Republican or independent, where can we find that unity to come together? And I realized that we have bastardized the American dream. We all want safe borders, but some of us want to do that while preserving the dignity of hardworking people. We all want our children to have great education systems and to learn and to be able to have great teachers and be able to really get a great raising up and a great education. But we want to do that while respecting the dignity and autonomy of teachers who go and get a lot of education and know all of the things that we need to be teaching. We want to make sure, my generation, I'm a millennial, I would like to have a little bit of Social Security when I, get to the right age. And we want that without dismantling the federal government. Ladies and gentlemen, we have given up parental custody of the American dream, and today, baby, we are taking it back. We are no longer going to stand in a place where we allow those of another political ideology to think that we don't deserve the American dream. If you were a person who is interested in preserving democracy, keep on doing exactly what you're doing today. Fight back. Keep up on your information. Be able to speak intelligently about what is happening in this country. If you are somebody who is on the fence and you're not quite sure that this is the space, you're not quite sure where your ideology lies, I encourage you, I implore you, I beg you to become knowledgeable and ask questions and do your research and learn the things that are important. Learn your research from people who are qualified to tell you, not an unverified TikTok account that you just stumbled across that doesn't have any cited sources. Come on, y'all, I'm an educator. I believe in sourcing our information. If you find yourself here as a former person on the other side of the Democratic aisle, give yourself some space, give yourself some processing time, and then get to work. Ladies and gentlemen, I close with this. If I have to be the next John Lewis, then I have to be the next John Lewis. Let's get into some good trouble.
My friends, a big welcome for Mr. Bob Freeman.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, everyone. First and foremost, I want to thank you for being here today, for turning out for democracy, for turning out for our country, for turning out for our future. It is critical, and you have met that challenge. So thank you. Thank you very much. You know, one of the most enduring legacies of the American experience throughout our history has been the ongoing efforts to make our democracy more expansive and inclusive, expanding the right to vote and ensuring access to the ballot box for women by the 19th Amendment, prohibiting racial discrimination in voting under the 1965 Voting Rights Act, and granting to all our citizens 18 years of age or older the right to vote under the 26th Amendment. But another enduring legacy, an important legacy for our democracy, has been our Constitution. And it is our Constitution, and we will not have it taken away from us. Rights and its separation of powers between the branches of government, creating a very important, a very critical checks and balances to prevent arbitrary concentration of power that we are seeing these days with the President of the United States. Our democracy has been a shining example to the world.
I'm saying that on July 8, 1776, people stood in this square to create a new nation against the authoritarianism of a king. Now it is 249 years later, and we are here to save our country. Easton has been my home for my entire life, and I really appreciate all of you showing up today. Because it wasn't just the loud and proud residents back in 1776, it's also the loud and proud residents today. Democracy is more than just a form of government. It's a people. It's about who we are. It's about what we can do. It's about our voices and our gatherings. And as Congresswoman Wild said, it's about our votes. We are at an inflection point in our history. Historians are going to look at this date and this administration and determine whether we're going to proceed as the greatest country on earth or whether we're going to change and be like Putin. I mean, he doesn't care about democracy. He doesn't care about votes. What he cares about is ego. So you today, with WFMZ right here broadcasting it, he will see it. He will know that his ego is bruised. We got to keep coming back. And we got to keep our voices loud and proud so that we save our country. But the thing that makes us different, and I could talk about his attack, like Representative Freeman said, on the federal government workers. One of them is married to my cousin. She's out of work. She worked for USAID. They're gone. History. We're attacking Canada and Mexico. Do you know the two countries that sent firefighters to the West Coast? Why would we do that? My biggest fear is that he is going to start a war with someone, some country, and we're not going to have any friends. We can't do it alone, people. We have to have friends. He wanted to do infrastructure. You know who did infrastructure?
Biden.
Joe Biden. Did you see that speech that he gave? It was like, I mean, I never saw a sitting president or mayor or representative or congressman talk about so badly about the previous person. And let me tell you something, that infrastructure bill that he tried for 4 years, Biden got it done without a Democratic Congress or House. But I guess what I really want to end it with is and I don't know who said this, democracy dies when we're silent. Just remember that. We need you out. We need you to become engaged. Democracy is not a spectator sport. You have to get involved.
In News 12 Long Island. She was half of the first all-female co-anchor team in the New York City television market, and she is the author of the book Accidental Anchorwoman, a memoir of chance, choice, change, and connection, which received the National Association of Black Journalists Book Award in 2024. Please welcome Melba Tolliver.
I would assume that in these situations, people say what they have to say, and then they make some suggestions And that's the end of what they had to say. I'm going to make my suggestion in the beginning, and it is to these people, Mary, Liz, and Tracy, and Steve, and all the people who made this possible. Would you please consider doing something on a regular basis, like teach-ins? And we have all these teachers, teacher, who can do what was done in the 60s, the teach-ins that taught us about the wars we were in, the civil rights battles that we were part of. We need things like this on a regular basis. But I want to share this quote with you, which was so meaningful for me. It was attributed to Mark Twain. I don't know exactly who said it, but war is how Americans learn geography. War is how we learn geography. And then the second part of it was a civil war in which democracy is being demolished by anti-democratic forces is how we learn about government and what government is. So we have not only rights as citizens, we have responsibilities, and that is to educate ourselves. You said something about being at the Democratic Convention, and one of the things that I took away from that was the call by Michelle Obama. She said, do something! So I want to get you to give yourself a round of applause because you are doing something. Michelle didn't say you have to do everything. She said do something. That I call this Accidental Anchor Woman a memoir of chance, choice, change, and connection. The 4 C's. Say it with me. Chance, choice, change, connection. And my evidence, this book was 50 years in the making, and I came to understand that these 4, chance, choice, change, and connection, are interwoven. They're the fabric of how our lives work. We take chances, we make choices. You all made a choice. You did something, you chose. Nobody put a gun to your heads and made you come here. You chose to be here. And I want to say what it seems to me is choice is our superpower. Other people can have billions, but if they do not understand, we, the people, have choice. And we can choose and choose and choose and choose and choose again. As a matter of fact, we can never not choose. Think about it. You can never not choose. You wake up in the morning, you say, do I get up now or wait for the next alarm? When I get in my car, do I go right or left? Do I wear blue jeans or do I wear a business suit? It's choice, 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 choice. We need to think about that all the time. If I say anything, I can't say anything that I feel is just more important than for us to pay attention to ourselves, pay attention to our choices, pay attention to the interweaving of this chance. You took the chance to be here.